Welcome back to another episode of the Umso podcast. Today's very, very special guest is Dr. Kelly Starrett, one of my favorite people, someone I consider family, and miss my guy. So excited to have him on, chat about things today, see what's happening in the weird CrossFit world as things are moving quickly on a lot of fronts right now. So before we dive into that episode, let me go ahead and talk to you about our sponsors. We have Hybrid Performance Method. If you're not familiar with these guys, this is Steffi Cohen and Hayden Bowe. These are two brilliant people working very, very hard who've put together an incredible platform as far as nutrition and programming goes. So if you want to head over there, Hybrid Performance Method, use code UMSO and it'll save 5% off of all of your monthly subscription services with Hybrid. I've been working with their nutrition coach. This is really what I use them for, and they've helped me so much figure out the best food to kind of fuel the type of training I'm currently doing, which is a little bit more endurance-based, which is a little bit more overall trying to feel good. I'm not necessarily trying to cut, but I'm also not really trying to push max strength. So this gives me a great option for just feeling good and continuing to change body composition over time with the amount of work I'm doing as far as on the bike stuff. So head over to Hybrid Performance Method, use code UMSO, and save yourself money, man. Everyone loves saving money. You can also save money on Mind Bullet. Mind Bullet is kratom. If you're not familiar with kratom, kratom is a plant. It is out of the Philippines. I've been really, really happy using it as a pre-workout, and that's what Mind Bullet is really dedicated to be used for. So head over to mindbullet.com. This is an all-natural supplement, and I do mean like it actually fucking works. It's not this all-natural thing that you don't get anything from. Kratom's a good one. It also helps with pain management. So if you're struggling with a little bit of pain that's in kind of that 1 to 2 area that kind of nags you throughout workouts, Mind Bullet's going to be awesome for you. So head over to mindbullet.com, use code UMSO, and save yourself money at checkout. Also, I know their checkout process is a little odd right now. This is just due to federal regulation. And this company is owned by Mark Bell and Chris Bell, and it's really, really been great. So you can trust it. You can use their checkout process. It's not that weird. You just have to do kind of an e-check thing. So I'm sure that'll get sorted over time. But mindbullet.com, use code UMSO, and save yourself 20%, I believe, off of all their products. Their potion, while it tastes like butt, is incredible. It is probably one of my favorite pre-workouts that I've ever used. And I had the original Jack 3D. That shit was cocaine, Brant. Cocaine. You could die from that shit. People did.
100% believe you.
People did. That's why they banned it. We also have Eat Right Foods. Speaking of nutrition, I think it's a really smart way right now. As many options as there are to kind of stay home, keep things coming to you. Eat Right Foods has been working a food delivery service for Bonnie and I now since the beginning of the year, and I've been really happy. 10 meals from Eat Right Foods cost you $90. Use code UMSO and fill your fridge. We do some of the bulk protein. Their turkey chili is awesome. The salmon's really good, and shrimp. I just dump kind of all their bulk protein in a bowl with a little bit of rice. And I eat like a dog, like a KFC Famous Bowl, except like a jacked version of a KFC Famous Bowl, which is basically what vertical diet is. But it's awesome. And this keeps me from making dumb shit decisions, like just taking my fat ass over to Shake Shack and hammering a bunch of cheeseburgers. So Eat Right Foods, keep it less gross. Use code UMSO and get better price on all your foods. We also have PowerDot. If you're not familiar, you should be at this point. PowerDot is a great tool for keeping things working. I've used this smart muscle stim tool coming out of surgeries. I've used it for recovery. It's really been a great tool, and I believe is one of the biggest reasons and why I've still been able to maintain quad size and strength throughout everything that I've gone through surgery-wise in the last couple of years, through total knee replacement and everything else. This is definitely one of the reasons I'm able to do the things I can, especially all the cycling, all the hiking and mountain biking, and doing stuff that I was basically told not really an option anymore, or that I have to pussyfoot around with it forever. So PowerDot has been a great tool. Go ahead and check them out. Use code UMSO. Save yourself 15% at checkout. And it is one of the best things I've ever bought. So head over to PowerDot, use code UMSO, and save yourself money. We also have HVIII brand goods and Habit. So we just dropped HVIII brand goods. We just dropped our summer essential lines. Head over there, check that out, thehate.com. Use code UMSO, save yourself money. And Habit Coffee. You like coffee? Get it delivered to yourself. And then you're smarter, and you have coffee all the time. Your new habit, use code UMSO, save yourself cash there. Finally, we're going to get this podcast started. Thank you guys for listening, and please support the sponsors. These guys really do help me promote the show, help me get in and have guests on, and allow me to travel the way that we do to actually go talk to these people in person one-on-one and present you guys as much information as we can. So head over, enjoy those sponsors, use code UMSO at all those places. We're going to go ahead and dive into this podcast with Kelly Starrett. Here we go.
How the hell have you been?
Well, what's new?
We tried this.
What's new? The world is in flux. I think, when we have these inflection moments, we have a chance to, get better. We have a chance to raise our consciousness. That may be injury, that may be loss, that may be, change in career. It's brutal right now. People are suffering. We're talking about it I just did this thing where, you come out of track and field, and which is probably, besides football or basketball, it's probably the most integrated sport there is.
Yeah, especially with we have females too.
Oh, it's so many black women. And one of the things that I just did yesterday is I went through my Instagram feed. I was like, well, how many black coaches do I follow? It turns out I have 10 black coaches I follow, but the number of black coaches to white coaches, it's asymmetrical.
Of course it is. But
that's a lot of black.
That's a weird. It's not like you're not following black coaches.
That's right.
You're following coaches that interest you.
That's right. And just trying to say, like, where's my blindness? Am I being blind here? I follow a lot of black women athletes.
Yep.
And it actually came out of pushing the bobsleigh and track and field. Tiana Bartoletta is one of my favorites. Studs. Women track and field. What's interesting, I had one black woman coach I follow, one, and she's a trainer. And otherwise, I was like, wow, am I missing it? Am I just in these little pools? Is the algorithm, keeping me? And anyway, just as a drill. And then I was like, well, how about physical therapy? I'm like a physical therapist. Let me tell you how many black physical therapists I follow. None. How many black women physical therapists I have in my feed? None. And I was like, wow, okay. Not doing a good job here on some of those things. Not that I follow a lot of physical therapists, mind you, because,
Sure.
I'm
as the man who wrote the book on stretching.
But I think what I believe in is sport is the closest thing we're going to get to a good unifier. People have shattered barriers, around race and integration, and sports potentially has the opportunity to talk about, do you feel safe in your tribe?
Right.
We just did a equipment return at the gym because the gym's still closed. Theoretically, we can
So did you guys rent stuff out to people?
We just gave it up.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah. Rent as in they have to bring it back. Lynn.
That's right. Well, I said, like, you can bring your 10-pound dumbbells back, or I'll charge you $200.
Would you like to pawn or sale these items?
Because I'm like, look, you borrowed a jump rope? Well, the flat fee is $200. So you can bring it back, or it's usury.
You have to pay for my hassle.
That's right. So, but all these people showed up. We're going to start doing some outdoor stuff on Monday. But all these people showed up, and they were like, I thought I liked to exercise, but it just turns out I like to be here. I like to be seen. And
that's something I've thought about a lot, especially with this big shift that's recently happened within CrossFit. Not a surprise to people who've been around that the guy driving the boat's a bit Captain Ahab.
That's a nice way to say it.
That's one way. However, I just don't understand how HQ missed the boat so bad on that. What they created was the community. And in fact, they've done such a good job of it, it doesn't need them.
That's right. I think it has succeeded in spite of that other thing. And I think couple thoughts here, since we're on this topic. One, there may be a type 1 error in a foundational principled error in having a privately owned business and then having your business affiliation be the name of a privately owned organization, right? So that Greg, as an independent person who's made a career of, I'm talking about Greg Glassman, career of swimming up against the current, he do and say what he can, Howard Hughes himself all he wants, right?
Yep.
That is his right as an American, and it's in quality just in terms of free speech is another thing. I may not agree with it. I may think it's repugnant.
Right, but he's got the right to say it.
He's got the right to say it.
But you've also got the right to deal with the consequences.
Yes, this is also 100% true. But as long as your name is your business, the way you're feeding yourself, creating your community is attached to it, that may have been an error early on because there was no dissociation, because he is no longer free to speak the way he wants, given that so many people of color, of her, that
everything. It was just,
there's no choice there. So,
oh man, really.
But this is what I heard this morning. This is the thing I want to talk about. Listen to my friend Andy Stumpf, right, talk on his podcast this morning, Cleared Hot, and he said, he was like, the discussion and the treatment of women around HQ, and I will tell you that having been at HQ headquarters with very little power in the past, asked what the Wi-Fi is, and it is wet pussy is the Wi-Fi password. I'm like, oh, okay, I understand what this is. What we did about it was take our course out, get blackballed, rebranded to change the name of WAD. I mean, those are all huge considerations. We were excommunicado and actively plotted against, because we're just like, look, we can't abide by this, and we don't have
this
any power.
Isn't something we stand for, nor do we want to sit quiet by waiting for this to blow up.
But everyone else who could have said something, should have said something, could have noted it. A lot of those people, the silence is because the power, and you see the power dynamic that's meant. I'm like, so Andy Stumpf is a Navy SEAL, doesn't stand because he's going to lose his job, not be able to pay his wife, can't be his own affiliate, so there's real fear. And all of a sudden you're like, okay, let me tell you how Harvey Weinstein got away with this, right? That these positions of power, it's Lance Armstrong bullying people. I don't know if you saw the 30 for 30, but I'm like, I know what this is Greg Glassman, you're on the team or you're not.
It's such a level of power that there's this idea of, okay, so it's not like anyone at that level is scared that you're going to kick their ass, because that's not a real threat anymore.
That's right.
They're more than happy to just stand on top of this pile of money and play litigation, because they'll bleed you to death instead of actually fight you.
And I know for a fact, CrossFit has bankrupted families.
Of course. As has Lance, as has
a
number of people, right.
So it is interesting as we're talking about fitness, strength conditioning, for so many people, and all you have to do is go onto the crazy internet for a second and see that it is religion. I mean, the closest thing I can relate to what's going on right now is the Protestant Reformation. I mean, like you're seeing Luther tap up the things and being like, okay, you can't buy your way into heaven. Like, okay, we all agree with that. Like, I'm not going to erase your sins because you donated $500.
Right, we're not buying condolences anymore.
That's right. So, what I think is, and as I've come to believe a little bit more and more, that, like, let's say you've had a knee surgery recently.
Yep.
Right. How did we know how to rebuild you and return your function? Strength and conditioning, not medicine.
Right.
Medicine did the work, but it's the nutrition, it's the rehab, it's the adaptation, and the rehab isn't like physical therapy doing quad sets. It was working with coaches, learning how to progressively load, what supplements you take, how do you manage this, what's the psychology of this.
Yeah, it changed everything.
Change your body mass, change your sport, like looking differently at the whole thing. How you train now versus before looks a little different. But all of that came out of the possibility that is strength conditioning. And I'm not saying fitness and wellness because those have like soft edges. We've recently, we're changing the name. San Francisco CrossFit is no longer going to be a CrossFit. We'll be the Ready State Lab, you know, and we'll let CrossFit make it up to us if they can do it. But, you know, when I said to our staff, I was like, you know, what do you guys want to do about this? And we're like, we have to change the name. We can't be this name anymore. Just can't. And create a safe space for people. Can't create the tribe because it's
now. Do you think you'll see a lot of people just rebrand and go simple as just a CF and just be the actual 2 letters instead of it meaning CrossFit?
No, you know, I think the word athletics is very popular right now. You know,
I'm into that.
And so now it's Mad Athletics, you know,
yeah.
and K-Star Athletics. You know, we'll be the Ready State Lab, which is something we probably want to do anyway. But, you know, again, coming back to the fundamental idea, one is that I was like, what do you guys think about San Francisco wellness and health and community fitness? And everyone's like, bleh, bleh.
A little soft.
You know, no, we're going to do water aerobics. It's going to be great.
Be great. Community center.
It'll be great, right? Play some bocce.
Yeah, we got a 3 p.m. Water polo class, and then we have bingo.
That's great.
It's going to be great.
Sit and be fit. And so, you know, that's not, you know, the key here is that, you know, if we're creating a safe, rad space, that means you can come in black, white, gay, woman, man, gender non-binary. It doesn't matter.
Right.
This is the place where everyone is equal in front of the barbell. And so let's make sure that we're hiring as such, that we're, you know, representative as such, and that we give people choices around the kind of communities they want to be in. So
but that's been one of the beauties of the barbell forever. It doesn't care.
Yes. I do follow a lot. Larry Wheels, you know,
yep.
You know, I don't even see it. I'm like, does he even have a color? All I see is hamstrings, you know?
Well, he's an interesting choice of case for any of this. Larry's got his own demons.
Needing to lift all the weights is one of them.
Yes, that's one thing he does very, very well.
So what are we about right now? What do we want to be about? Here's this moment where we can, you know, hang on a second, I'm gonna get naked.
Yeah, go ahead. You know,
how are we going to, where do we take this moment where we're like, okay, what can we get better? What can we cut out? You know, I was hoping that some of the internet bullshit porn, you know, would go away, you know?
Oh, you mean interracial porn?
Yeah, I mean.
Which is a really odd thing, right? Because it only refers to black and white. Like, it doesn't refer to any other mixed race.
It's true.
Of porn.
It's true. Here, let's do this.
If it's Asian, it's just called Asian.
I'm really uncomfortable right now.
Okay, good. I'm sorry.
With this conversation.
I have a new cat that's doing HR for hate, so you'll take it up with him.
Well, you know, here we are, you know. In the meantime, people are under existential threat around their businesses closing. Strength conditioning, you can't get in the same room and people and touch people. You ever touch people to coach them?
It happens.
You ever read their body language and get close and, you know, hug it out and high five? And I'm like, we are going against God right now. This is what human beings do. We touch each other and we get all excited and we love it.
So how long, with everything currently going on with protests and marches and everything like that, do they finally have to say, we really missed the ball on a lot of this Corona thing?
I don't think we know yet.
This giant second outbreak that's supposed to be.
Well, Houston is sort of suffering, and I think we don't know.
I don't think we know, but also the World Health Organization doesn't know.
Yeah, and I think without getting into the politics of what I don't know around this, what I can say is, should we be protecting our high-risk populations? Yeah, that's
yes.
Right? Do we need to go into a huge like ski lodge where it's super humid and everyone's breathing down each other? I mean, I just think, you know, don't need to be in a community sauna right now.
No, of course, right? And I'm with you on that. I did like the information that Rogan posted with Dr. Rhonda Patrick about how much vitamin D seems to be a major factor in this.
Well, it turns out healthy people are healthier.
Right. They're also outside.
Well, and I think, you know, the CrossFit thing aside, what we lost was this opportunity as a community, again, strength conditioning, to say, hey, you should eat less carbohydrate. You need to sleep more. You need to walk more, right? You can't pound 20 beers and eat little chocolate donuts and smoke cigarettes and not move, because that makes you more susceptible. What's happened, I think, with COVID is you ever go to IKEA and you see the machine that stresses the chair. It's like it's arm, right? It's like 50,000.
Yeah, just bouncing.
Right. Well, that's what this disease process highlighted in terms of how robust we were as a community. And what we found is that people who weren't very robust, for all the complicated reasons of race, culture, food deserts, food insecurity. I mean, just choose anything.
Not what got us here, but here's where we are.
We saw that, man, we have not been doing a good job of helping people be people. We've been selling them sugar and soda, and we're not exercising, and Netflix and cheap calories. And, we have an opportunity to say, hey, look, especially in these communities of color, lower socioeconomic status, where we're seeing the asymmetrical effect of these things. If you're diabetic, your chances of not handling this virus went through the roof. So is it about vitamin D, or is vitamin D a function of, hey, I go outside, I eat more nutrient dense foods because they're available to me, and culturally I've always done it, and that's what my parents did. Again, I'm not trying to be politically correct. I'm trying to say, hey, this is complicated, we saw that if you weren't being a human being very well, you were more susceptible.
Yeah, you're more risky.
Why the fuck now don't we go ahead and try to do something about it, right? Instead of sheltering in place, because that's not going to ultimately get us out of here. And maybe it's conversation.
But the marketing of anything that's worked thus far has been fear. And I mean, it was a mixture of fear. I also think this was a big test of how compliant will the American public be if we need to lock down.
Well, I think you bring up a really interesting point around, I mean, there's this place called Louisiana. Have you heard of that?
I don't know. I'm relatively familiar with it. They should fence it off.
It's pretty well. It may be, because it's pretty much below sea level. Right?
Yes.
And just wait a few years until Miami's gone.
Right.
Wait a few years until it's 130 degrees in Texas. Like, we haven't seen mass migration yet. Like, wait until it comes.
That's why I moved dead to the middle, Kelly.
Well, maybe it's the high ground. You're in the middle of the craton. It doesn't shake.
Yes.
I'm here on the edge. And I think we're going to have this conversation about, this was a drill where globalization will repeat this. Not globalization, globalism, where we don't take care of the environment. We're not thinking at a systems level. We're thinking about, how do I get mine? How do I screw you? How do I dump this off? How do I make a quick product, right? And, boy, ugly mirror, but the reckoning is still coming. And strength and conditioning, the promise of science is to improve the humanities. So the promise of strength and conditioning is to actually improve, the human condition through what we know about makes better, more resilient, happier people.
Right. Makes people healthier, makes us more, able to fight off disease. You're harder to kill. This is a thing that we've talked about with hate. Like, that's one of the reasons we train, right? Is be harder to kill, period, across the board.
And maybe harder to kill for you is hard to be killed by some cookies. That's for me,
I haven't done great with cookies, by the way. Are you aware that they'll just deliver hot cookies to your house?
I don't think I can do that.
We have a thing here called Insomnia Cookies. Until 2 a.m., they will deliver hot cookies to your house.
Georgia, Starrett, for a friend, just made these like bowls full of these cookies that are the size of a quarter. Chocolate chip cookies. So you're like, I'll just have one or two.
30?
And you can stuff like one cookie is sort of limited by the shape of your mouth, but lots and lots of little cookies fill up the mouth beautifully.
Dude, it's like eating boneless buffalo wings. You don't even have to stop and breathe. You can just keep going. You keep the nose breathing while the mouth does all the work.
Fast carbs and cheap protein.
Fast carbs and lean proteins. It's the way to go.
There it is. So
Gary Frank.
Here we are. And what I think is really interesting is I really miss my friends. I miss my training group. I haven't seen you and I haven't seen Shro in a minute, and that sucks. That really sucks.
We're still tentatively scheduling this big road trip, and we're been trying to fight our way. We're hopefully leaving at the end of the month. We were going to head to Alaska, drive up to Anchorage and camp, and go through Banff and do all this again. And I don't think the border's going to be open. So instead, we're just going to head west. and kind of make our way through 4th of July and go through Montana and see friends, and then make our way out to the West Coast and come see you guys and see time frame where I am leading up to the Ruck.
We
I'm
are
not quite confident in yet.
it's gonna happen. We're heading north to Idaho for a river trip and trying just to get out in the friend's ranch here in a couple.
When
weeks.
are y'all doing that?
Just like 2 weeks from now.
Nice,
and,
man.
You know, one of the things,
salmon or
Payette, which is
Payette.
close.
Okay.
But one of the things that our family does is we go play and we travel. I mean, those are things, and both of those things have been curtailed. This is the longest I have not traveled in 12 years.
Oh, who are you telling? What do you mean, sleep in my own bed for 3 months? What are you even talking about?
Drifta, lifta, whatever. I know. It's pretty amazing. Also amazing, and this goes back to sort of some things I'm thinking about. You know what sucks is coaching on Zoom sucks.
Ugh.
And I'm doing all of these online summits because I'm trying to support the online summit,
Sure.
Organizations that were together, still trying to put something out. But man, it is soul sucking.
It's tough.
And the magic always is when you put two people in a room, let them compete. I mean, not like a cage, but
yeah. Well,
like on a field, right?
It's also still good in a cage.
Performance. You have to go to an island with UFC now.
That's amazing. Fight Island. Dana White's the best.
But right before the shutdown happened, we went and saw Hamilton.
Okay.
And the younger daughter's a nut for it, and I was like, look at all these people sharing this experience. Look at those people have to get up and perform and deliver, and they maybe at 80%, 70%. They still got to show up and do it, right? And There's some magic there. There's a magic to showing up and being part of a community. Suddenly, can't go watch my local baseball team, can't go watch my local football team, can't go watch my high school team, where it gives me a common cause with my neighbors. Gives me the magic of appreciating what humans can do and being inspired by that. Like, I sort of feel gutted by
Dude, the Olympics being postponed, like that one. People who don't come from track and field background, I think the Olympics are something they're stoked on every couple of years. But people who know folks that prepare for that, moving that by a year.
So
now you mean I have another year to risk getting hurt? I have because if you're
put off my life.
Yeah, because if you're training for the Olympics, you're risking getting hurt. You are all in.
Zach Ertz, pretty good football player, is a friend of ours. His wife, pretty good soccer player named Julie Ertz. I was like, how are they doing? Well, a lot of the women were going to retire after this Olympics and get on with their life. And they just had a full career. And this is the last, like, we're going to one more world championship. We got this. And all of a sudden,
yeah, that's the beauty of the Olympics. You're like, I don't have 4 years to do this again.
Exactly. I think about, I'm just so thrilled. Two of the best women in my life who are Kate Courtney and Katie Hall. Kate qualified the spot in mountain biking. She got the spot back. They just announced it. And then Katie Hall made the Olympic team. She was kind of, it's sometimes it's voodoo and politics, but so both these women now have already been named, but I have a whole lot of people who are going to have to requalify. And you may age out, you may have a 10 problem. You qualified the spot and did everything to get to that. And all of a sudden you get to go again. And I want to believe champions will be champions no matter what, but there's some things that doesn't apply to. And then it doesn't.
Well, but champions will be champions no matter what, but there's still this matter of, oh man, me and Derek Woodsky talked about it yesterday or the other day when we podcasted, and I'd heard this reference and I really, really liked the sound of it, and I need to bat it around a little bit more to make more sense with it. But essentially, what it is, I think a lot of times it's, people talk about the special chemistry of athletes. That is when preparation and proper coaching and fueling and that plus genetics gets mixed with the proper situation during a peak and the right moment, right?
Right.
That people perform out of their
It's alchemy.
It's alchemy. Magic. Right. That's my favorite way I've ever heard it. It's magic. You can't bottle it and you can't predict it. It's what it's all about. Like, any of us who've ever had those moments competing get it.
Yeah, it's not just, well, you're good, so you'll automatically be good. I mean, it lessens the risk that you won't be there again to be that great, but you still got to go do it. And all of the steps to get there, all the World Cups, all the World Championships, they all prepare you for this thing. And then let's take that model, because you're like, I'm not an Olympian, but I'm like, I bet you know a high school senior. You know a kid who lost her water polo season, who lost the Junior Olympics.
Dude, losing your senior year of football, then all of a sudden now your junior season was, oh, that's the last time I'll ever get to play. Like that's the last time a bunch of men ever play organized sports is football in high school. And I think that's why the popularity of football or with at least the NFL is what it is, right? It's because this was the last time a bunch of men felt that they were in a tribe.
100%.
And so even just trying to be part of it is like, those are my guys.
Yeah, that's right. And they're black and fat, black, white, fat guy.
Yeah.
Skinny, Indian. That was my
everyone.
Team.
Yeah, everyone. And it doesn't matter, because those of us who played sports like that, and you played for the other 10 dudes on the field with you. It wasn't about the stands. And then, those were family.
I was the only sophomore on this big football team in Virginia, Mount Vernon High School. And I started, and that, was unusual too, but my nickname was Milk. And, there are only a few white kids on the football team, and, fewer white starters, but Milk, it took me a while to earn their respect. I got the first sack of the year. I got the first touchdown of the year. I ended up starting both ways. I became Milk Truck. So
Milk Truck.
And a little known K-Star, popology there. But, that community, there's no way that I was friends with Mike Scroggins in any other way. There was no way that our school with clear segregation lines, neighborhoods, experiences, there's no way that I'm friends with Jason Barnwell. There's no way that he's my best friend, and that's the promise of what we're missing right now. And that's what we got to keep coming back to and keep our eye on.
And I grew up in growing up in the South it's a different thing altogether.
That's true.
And the small town I grew up in was really odd as far as small Southern town, because we were a town of 22,000. We have one high school, but the town I live in it was 3% black, which is really odd. Just because we were all located around refineries. So it was just a very blue collar construction-ish, the rich guy in town, his dad was a lawyer. It was, he's not Jeff Bezos. It's not Silicon Valley money. It's like, oh man, that guy makes 100 a year. Imagine. And it was really weird. And looking back now at that, just growing up in that town and what little things are just considered normal. It's odd. And I've been aware of it a really long time, and I'm glad to not be there. But man, I think about that with my parents who live there and don't ever leave, and what you get exposed to. I've been very fortunate to travel, and it just, it's a very different place. My mom was in high school when they desegregated.
I think right now, if I was, we have a bunch of kids who are going to college in our neighborhood. And I'm like, hey, if your school is even 1% maybe going to be online, you got to go gap year. You got to go serve somewhere. Go do something.
Yeah.
Don't get a job at Starbucks and work. That's a waste of the year. Go be outrageous. Go volunteer time somewhere. Go build houses.
You're not making enough money. You don't need that money. Go do a thing.
That's right. That's right. You're just watching more Netflix and living off your parents' couch, and you're going to be a worse human. But what it leads us to believe, and that Juliet and I believe, is a year of service year, mandatory gap year. You join the military, or you go do service in America for a year. You get shipped around, red, black, white, blue, yellow, orange.
I would say one of my biggest things.
You would create massive change.
Yeah, if it wasn't for track and field, which brings about its own level of integration, I think anyone I've ever spoke to, it's always recommended, you should absolutely go do a semester abroad. Like that's the big recommendation. Gap year's great. I wouldn't have gone back to school.
You know what Stanford does is that if you get into Stanford, you're open enrollment forever. So you can leave for 10 years and then call the registrar and you just enroll and they don't even
I need an econ class.
Yep. And then you're just back. So they expect that once you're in, that you're going to need to go away and not just do this thing lockstep, that you're going to go have some adventure and bring something back.
Yeah.
Your needs will change because the demands or needs of understanding of the 17 or 18-year-old aren't really wholly formed yet.
No, I'd say it's a little mushy brain.
But,
which is why they're only allowed to get jobs they're allowed to get, because they're not very smart and they can't be trusted.
Well, I don't even know if I was good at that. I remember going to dig trenches for my friend's dad in high school, do a little manual labor.
I cooked bacon.
And I wasn't good enough to dig ditches. I was too slow. I was so fit, and he's like, sorry, I just don't think I can use it. And I was like, wow.
You just kept looking at him. You're like, I'm more what they call management type.
I don't even think I was.
Man, changing gears here. How's your knee? I know we've been back and forth about that, and I know that you're talking about going under and adding some robotic parts like me. Where are you at with it? How's it holding up?
The knee is, if I don't do rad shit, my knee doesn't get too angry. I'm sitting here cross-legged. I don't have any pain. It never hurts.
Oh, so that's impossible.
So we did a big, brutal climb, mountain bike at a friend's house a few days ago.
Oh, yeah, for Rebecca Rush's Giddy Up.
It was the week after we were up visiting another friend.
You just did it again.
Another big climb. And my knee was swollen the next day. Felt congested. It felt full. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh, I'm aware.
And what I'm noticing is my running technique is pretty damn good, but I can't run. The joint won't take that force. I can't double under. I can jump rope with very stiff legs. Can't push press. Can't squat. Or I can air squat slowly with a vertical shin and letting my torso come way forward, right? Something that looks like a belt squat.
Yep.
I seem to be able to swing kettlebells and push a prowler and deadlift and step ups.
Does TKEs bother it?
No, but it's not my limiting problem. I don't have a finishing problem. So the issue is that enough function for me? Because as soon as I jump on a paddleboard, as soon as I start skiing again, as soon as you and I start playing tackle football or playing on the beach, you're like, why is he jumping and landing on one leg when he goes in the air for the
terrible idea?
Right. And we define injury as can no longer occupy your role in society, right? And for me, I'm not willing to keep taking shit off the table, and I think that's what I'm doing is, here's the metaphor. When I worked in the hospital, my biggest fear now, I spent more time in the hospital in PT school than anyone else in my class. I thought it was penance. I was like, you guys are just fucking with me all the time. Kelly, go work in that skilled nursing facility. Kelly, go do it.
Sick.
I spent a lot of time in the hospital, and as people get really sick, their world gets smaller and smaller. They move away from the window. They end up with a curtain. They can't see outside. And so the world gets tinier and tinier and tinier the sicker you get. And that is a fear. And
that's for sure. I don't like the idea of options taken away. Because options to me equal freedom. That's
right. So if I wait around and I only use pain as my metric of the quality of my life, well, what if I don't have pain? What if I can't do what I want to do?
Right.
It's because pain is just information. And it's the same information as loss of range of motion, loss of force production. Those are equivalents for pain for me. Swelling is more information about what's going on in my body. It's just, it may or may not be painful. I mean, based on my previous experiences with pain, my tolerance, I have tissues that just don't get loud. I haven't irritated this thing long enough, or the bell is ringing every single day and changing my sleep and changing my life. Should I wait around for that? Is that the key? I have to wait until it's a full dumpster
I don't recommend that.
That's a difficult
you were with me on, I would say, the most pissed my knee's ever been. 2 days. One was a hike in Iceland. The other one was with you in the Grand Canyon.
Yeah, it was so bad. And what you saw,
I realized 50 steps into that 5 or 6 mile hike that day that I had chosen poorly.
I don't know. Hike doesn't really quite.
Just the heated walk. It wasn't even a hike. It was just a walk.
It was some gnarly scrambling around cliff edges.
Yeah, that stuff was fine because I could lower myself down. It's the up would have been.
So here we are, and I think the right thing to do is to stay ahead of this. And what's interesting is that when I went right before the shutdown, went and talked to the surgeon about doing half or doing whole, and he's like, "Well, half will keep your knee mechanics, but you probably destroy it." I'm like, "So I'm setting myself up to destroy it." And he's like, I don't, no one can tell you how much force to put in the knee. I'm like, "So deadlifting 600 very slowly, or power cleaning 225? I'm like, which one are you talking about here?" Right. Those are things that are very interesting to me. And so I think it looks like it's better for me to do a total knee so that I don't break it, because I don't want to keep going in there, add the parts. I'm going to lose some function, but it would be really nice. What he said is he moved my knee around, and I squatted for him and showed him what I could do. And he was just like, "Man, your joint isn't even tight." And I was like, "Well, there's this thing called the ready state. I kind of do that a lot, maintain my positions, and I have healthy tissues." He's like, "You're in this, people don't come here because they've lost force." So this cyclist I'm working with is a good example. She calls me and she's like, "I'm putting 49% through my left leg and 51% through my right leg on the pedal. This is unacceptable." And I was like, "You are my woman. Like, this is amazing." Right? This is the kind of conversation I have. I'm like, Matt is like, I have one leg and then I have a piece of meat on my other leg.
This other one it's a counterbalance.
It's like a kickstand.
That's great.
I'd rather them be more like each other, So, he's like, "I can't, I think people would beg for your function." I'm like, "That's not good enough for me. That's
right.
not what I'm playing."
It's relative, man. It's the same thing as a doctor being like, "Well, they don't understand that a 225 power clean isn't hard. I can stiff leg it."
That's what we do for cardio.
Right. Are we cycling? Like, perfect.
That's right.
It's relative, right? Depending on your strength base and where you are. And the doctors don't have a number of like, if you put 600 pounds on this, it will shatter. That's the number I need them to tell me. So I'm like, cool, right. We'll stay in the 5s.
That's right. $5.99 sound good,
Right.
We also have Mark Bell's slingshot. Middle of the podcast, quick interruption. Grab yourself a hip circle, grab yourself some knee sleeves, gangster wraps, all the great stuff. Mark Bell's slingshot has been great products for me. Has maintained keeping me healthy. I still use the slingshot probably once a week in my bench pressing if I don't use it all the time. Hip circle is definitely part of my everyday warm-up routine, whether I'm getting on the bike or I'm actually going to be training. So head over there, use code UMSO, and save yourself 15% on all the greatest slingshot products and probably apparel. You get great stuff. So slingshot.com, markbellslingshot.com, use code UMSO, save yourself 15%. Back to the show.
So, I think what's interesting is, for me, I developed a bunch of compensation. So my knee doesn't hurt, but my big toe, because the flexor running behind my knee, trying to stabilize my knee, is yanking on my big toe where it's brutal.
You're just driving that big toe into the ground all the time.
So I have this really stiff foot that I end up flirting with. I'm like, "Oh, I know what this is. This is my knee sending out weird error messages to the calf, trying to make the thing tight." And what I start to do is I start to dread ski season with my family, because that's just like valgus high force. And, I don't ski slow, and I'm, 236 pound skier. There's not a lot of me going very fast. And I'm skiing my whole life, but man, I get into the bad mood. It swells. It doesn't feel good. I'm like, I got 2 hours, and then I'm like, all right, I'm in the truck, ladies.
Cool.
And,
so it feels almost not worth your time of going to the mountain.
That's right. So I'm like, I'll go cross-country skiing. So one day I went cross-country skiing, and I was up cross-country skiing, and I was like, feeling good. And then I hit a weird patch, and my knee just buckled.
Like a sniper in the rafters.
Those those dolls?
Yeah. Did you put tension on? Oh no, like a rag doll.
I fully just ragged on. I was like, oh, that's weird. My body was just like not going to absorb force through here. We have a solution for that. That's called off. So it is going to be interesting, because I certainly have all the feelings you had. Like, when you're like, I'm going to do all these things so I don't avoid knee replacement, in the back of my head, I'm like, there's one option here.
We're going there.
To get you out of pain. And now the question is, how much do I flirt around with? Which I think is the really interesting question, because I didn't injure myself training. I injured myself skiing at 60 or 70 miles an hour and having an accident, right? And I put my femur through my tibia. I did not tear my ACL, PCL, MCL. I just had I was strong enough that I was just guided.
You just trashed all the cartilage.
Yeah, I have 2 impact lesions
that never heal.
That never heal, and I destroyed my meniscus. So I have, I sent you the picture of me in weight training, like a push press position. You're like, hey, Starrett, what happened to your shock?
It's gross.
In fact, it's extra white where the 2 bones are going past each other. One bone is going into the other bone. So, I think what I take away from this, and what I want people, if they've gotten this far in this talk, is that pain can't be the thing we wait around for to help us make decisions. It's one of the things. Second is that, man, if you do some of the things right, if you sleep, you feel safe, you eat, you are strong and train in the way you can buffer a whole lot of bad bullshit in your body. You don't have to have a perfect body. No one does.
Right.
So what can we get away with? That's what tells me, look at how much, like when the doc finally saw the MRI and the knee, he was like, holy shit, you're doing that on this? And I was like, it doesn't hurt. I'm not doing something heroic.
Right.
When I'm in a bad position, it's bone on bone, skit.
Yeah, dude, that was the same thing I got for so long, because I had competed for so long without an ACL, and everyone acted like it was a badge of courage. I was like, well, it's because it's never been an issue.
That's right. It's not.
I know the direction I'm going. I just can't play pickup basketball.
And that's right. It's not, so what it tells me is that it reinforces the idea that we are far more robust than we think, that we have immense tissue tolerance, but what do they say? What's the best day to plant a tree? Yesterday, the next best day is today.
Right.
One of the things that, you have said that stuck with me so long is, why don't you squat once a week for 10 years? Let me know how that goes.
You'll be fine.
You'll be fine. And that's what we have to tell people, is that it's about being consistent, putting the body under load, get the tissues to be tolerant, do the right things. You can't fake a DEXA scan. It takes a long time to build strong bones. When I got into a DEXA pretty recently, I was like, how come I'm like 5 deviations away from the mean bone density for people? I wasn't even on the chart. Like Mac, it was like
super high bone density.
And I was off the chart. Like, I was like, I don't remember what it was, like 25, and the chart went up to 22. And I was like, seems like a machine is a little bit off.
You got those heavy bones. That's why you're so heavy. You're really a 220 guy with 240 skeleton.
Oh, I wish that was the case, but I'm just little bird legs here. Makes my arms look so big.
It's true.
And the idea here is, man, you can't. So I want people to appreciate that in your 20s, in your 30s, in your 40s, this is the time where your grandfather was like, take $500, put it in the account. There's compounding interest. Trust me, save $10 a month and you'll be rich. And I was like, that's what your body is. You've got to be doing that with your body.
Yeah, and that's something you've always talked to me about. You're talking about spend your credits wisely.
Oh, yeah.
That especially compromised systems, as I'm aware of how many credits I get during a week. And it's getting better, but there's still an amount. Like training yesterday, getting in a 90-minute ride on the trainer, and then working on the new house for 10 hours. I was done. And I'm done today. I'm not doing anything.
And you are getting to a place in your life where you can hear that and you can say, okay, my brain is saying don't go today, right? You're getting input that we have not trained people to listen to, the desired train. Jill and I have been under a freakish amount of stress anyway. We don't know if San Francisco CrossFit, the gym formerly known as San Francisco CrossFit, will survive.
Get a symbol.
I know.
You can Prince this thing. Just use his.
Yeah, dude, that's a good point.
It encompasses everything.
Unaffiliated. I like disavowed. DA, disavowed.
That's actually pretty good.
And John Little.
Sounds like a spy thriller.
Disavowed. We have been, all of this blew up. We have a community trying to keep everyone paid. We lost the gym where we were based closed because they went out of business. We had to move out, new space.
Oh, shoot.
Again,
The ready
not
state,
existential,
everything.
not an existential threat, right? They're putting a COVID hospital next to us. I don't know if I told you that part of the story.
Oh.
It's just like that Mercy ship that went into New York. It's like
Cool.
overflow. They're like, it's just overflow for the next wave. And I was like, and then when it's overflow, that's the COVID hospital. So we've got a hospital going in next to us, which will be empty most of the time, but still a hospital.
Still a hospital.
And I had a couple days this week where I just didn't feel like training. Isn't that interesting? Doesn't mean I don't sleep and try to walk, but I was like, I don't think I want to load. And I think I'm trying to get to a place at age 47 where I'm a little bit better at listening to what the hell's going on.
You know, and I'm trying to do the same. One of my favorite things I ever remember Windler talking about is, you know, at a point where you've trained long enough, at this point, I've earned the right to go to the gym and squat and go home. Mm. I've built a base. I know what needs to happen today, and I'll just do that and punch everything else out. Like, what's the thing that keeps everything going forward? And one of those things I tell people now, especially with, you know, some online coaching and training that we're doing, you know, mentality wise, is like, there's nothing you're going to do in today's workout that's going to make you strong. But you can absolutely fuck everything up today. You can get hurt and not train for 2 weeks, but you're not going to add 10 pounds to your squat today. So be smart and learn how to chip away at it, because it's well, Wellborn talks about, right? Like it's moving a pile of dirt. And some days you got a spoon and some days you got a forklift, or some days you got a backhoe. But as long as you can move dirt, we're making progress. And if moving dirt today just means go take a walk, go take a walk.
That's right. And, you know, I think you and I have become much more reasonable in terms of this general approach, you know?
Well, neither of us are also trying to be best in the world at a thing anymore. That seems to turn the volume down on it.
Does it? I'm just trying to remember when my hand was numb and I couldn't turn my neck for 2 months. Is that what you mean? Like, you know?
Worth it.
But I was the best in the world at that.
You're right, dude.
So that's not even true. I was probably the best in
you were like second or third.
Tri-state area.
You're the non-world championship in your house. It's
totally true. It's totally true. You know, what's interesting is I want to ask anyone who's listening to strength conditioning how well your athletes are doing without you. That's one of the things I want to know. How well have you prepared your athletes? Yeah. Some of the things that I really appreciate. I watched a little bit of The Last Dance, you know, and watching coach kind of just say, all right, you know what he needs to do. Let's go. Let's focus and get done. Walks out. And there's no speech. Like, he's prepared his athletes to that moment. They don't need him. The All Blacks do this too. Coaching, they coach less and less during the week. It's driven by by the players and the captains to self-direct. And then the coach can come in and help them see patterns or identify issues, right? It's not there to lift them up and be a pro. And what I wonder is, in fitness, and I've used the word fitness, not strength conditioning, differently, have we created a strange dependency where we haven't taught people to think and to be able to feel for
100%. 100%. But we've also done that just via, I think we've promoted and sold fuckery for so long that like there's a secret, that there's this thing that I know because I'm the professional. And if you come with me, I'll show you the secret of weight loss or fitness or getting abs or any of this type of shit. When at the end of the day, we all still know it's just consistency. Like there's no drugs, there's no pill, there's no supplement, there's no special exercise. Like that's the one that still blows me away. People reach out and they're like, man, how did you lose all, what'd you get on to change your body the way it is? I was like, caloric deficit for 18 months. That's what I did.
And
weird.
Have you seen the amount of work I do?
Right.
Caloric deficit via less calories, less bullshit, and more work.
Yep.
And, you know, so people were like, I put on the COVID-15, and I'm like, wow, we failed you.
That's lazy.
You know, we didn't teach you how to move. We didn't teach you what to eat, how to eat, you know? And I think, again, this is highlighted for us. I'm like, well, you have kids at home. Do you know how to program for them? Do you know how to keep them active? Or were you farming that out to someone else?
Or are they all now fat too?
Well,
yeah. Are your kids all overweight? You know, that's something that amazes me too. And we're really trying to instill in this group that we're working with of like, effort is so much more important than the details of X's and O's. Like, well, I mean, it says on the program I'm supposed to squat today, but I can't get to the gym. Well, cool. Take care of tempo and squat at your house. Like, you'll be fine. You know, again, it's just giving your body some type of stimulus to adapt to. That's all you have to do.
Let me stop you there. What do you mean you don't have a barbell at your house?
Broomstick. Yeah, right. Also, yes.
How
are you even living?
Dude, you're living in, poverty. I think people were shocked that they didn't own a kettlebell, New York Times has a kettlebell. There's like a kettlebell shortage in America. And I was like, look, when I started the gym 15 years ago, you could not buy a kettlebell in San Francisco.
Right, you couldn't buy a kettlebell in the States, basically. What, like American Kettlebell Company was the only people even selling one?
You had to know a Russian guy. And
Pavel. Email Pavel personally.
That's right. You pretty much did.
He's ready like wolf.
And
you say wolf stretch? No. Garbage.
Snake mind. And here we are though. New York Times covers the great kettlebell shortage in 2020, and I'm like, how is it that you're not prepared to just do some work at home? I mean, the kettlebell, for all its limitations, teaches eccentric loading and springiness.
It's a great tool.
It's a great tool, and at least if you can get something in your house. Like you're like, I don't have time today. If you had a kettlebell in your kitchen, you could do 100 swings. And no, you couldn't.
Dude, if you simply owned a 50-pound kettlebell, you can slaughter yourself if you're willing to do it. Like, that is as much resistance as you need to be really fit if you're willing to do it. Look, it's the variance we add in is to deal with being bored. And because, I mean, at the end of the day, you need a sled and a kettlebell.
And when we define sled, I mean like a tire full of concrete.
Dude, that's the worst I ever did was when I was doing strongman and trying to build everything cheap. I'd taken just a spare tire, drilled a hole through it, ran a chain, like made a net, and then put Atlas stone in it because that's how I wanted to load the weight. So I'd load like this 220 Atlas stone on a tire. So now I'm dragging this rubber tire on rubber sidewall down the street. It's the worst sled ever. It builds no momentum. It just constantly hates you. Like, you have to fight for every inch. Oh yeah. Just awful. It's like a vehicle with the brakes on.
I got into my mind not too long ago to start towing all my sleds with one hand, right? One arm, because it just forces all this rotation, connection, and it's a way of making it worse.
Abs.
And the first time I did it, next day I was so destroyed. I was like, I'm an athlete, and yet I'm afraid my head is going to topple over to the side because I just did this one direct. So I trained for it a little bit. I drug it to the top of our hill in front of our house.
Oh, all right.
800 meters. And I got to the top, and I literally was like, I'm going to have to get the truck.
Oh, no, I'm not dragging it back.
And then I was like, well, I don't know if I can lift it into the truck because I'm so trashed. And I had to stand there, and it starts raining, and I had to stand there and kind of have a talk with myself, just drag this tire back. And I was like, okay, just 5 feet at a time. 5 feet. I got this.
Oh, no.
And Juliet, I came home like 45 minutes later. Juliet's like, you okay? I was like, I don't think so.
No, I'm not all right.
Go take a nap.
Dude, you just drag it into the bushes and be like, I'll get that later. This is what I planned to do the whole time. Sad, give up.
I call it accommodating workouts.
Oh, man, that's rough.
What are you working on, Matt? What are you working on?
Me? It's cycling, man. That's been kind of the big push lately. It's a great double whammy for me. It's giving me conditioning, which I'm liking the way that's treating my body. I feel better. I'm moving more. Kind of minimum right now is I'm still just going to get 100 miles a week, whether that's indoor, outdoor, it doesn't matter. The capacity it's like it jumped. I went from like, okay, 20 miles and an hour on the bike is about all I give a shit tolerance wise. And now anytime I'm throwing a leg over it, I just assume go ride 40.
I think the idea is that we misunderstood smart cardio, like really smart aerobic training that doesn't have to destroy you. You don't have to, Nick Gill who's the strength coach for the All Blacks, uses the Watt bike, which is a great tool.
Yeah, they're awesome.
And instead of just doing a bunch of junk, he just has the guys strap on damper 10, mag 7, and put out, at low cadence, put out 400 watts, 450 watts for a minute on, minute off for, 12 to 15 reps. And if guys are super cooked that day,
Yep.
they get 8 rounds. If they're, if they're super hot that day, he wants to push a little volume. And what I realized is, man, that's a really sneaky way of getting low skill, high physiology work that's easier on your body. And what we've seen with Brendan Schaub and the Thick Boy Bike Club.
Thick Boy Bike Clubs, man.
I just think it's so great that
I've had so many people reach out. Like, I actually just have a video up on my YouTube now of like how to go buy a bike as a big guy. Here's your 3 steps. Go to a bike shop, dum-dum.
Yeah. So no, it's fine. I'll get it from my friend.
Quit emailing me and saying, hey, what do you recommend? Like, what type of question is that? Like, there's 9 million types of riding styles.
Dude,
trials bike is what I think.
You don't want to ask the bike snob. Well, obviously,
I'm terrible.
You're gonna need this, but that's $20,000. Well, you asked.
Well, I'm like, right. You just want to get something affordable in $3,000 to $5,000 range.
Yeah,
not high end.
I think what's nice is we talked about putting your credits. Some of us have come through whatever reason, military, lives, previous histories, the work we've done. We're a little banged up. We spent,
for sure.
And this, is the thing that allows me to continue to pound and really surprise myself. So yesterday, it's been a few days since I've really gone hard in the paint, like really, brutal climb, breathing out. I was like, J-Star, we need to do 30-second repeats. So I'm on the Concept 2 bike, 30-second, all out as hard as it can, 90 seconds off.
You're not doing them in the sauna.
No.
Easy day.
But I put out whatever the wattage was. I know exactly what it is, but it'll embarrass me, so I'm not going to say.
Come on.
I was just trying to hold 800 watts,
For 30 seconds.
But it's damper 10 on the Concept 2 bikes. It's not the same. It's
okay.
It's really as hard as it can get.
Yeah, it's a super low cadence. It's a big, heavy grind.
Uphill against the wind and sand. And the second you stop, it's like, like the tire, basically.
Yeah, it's no friend. It's no friend to you.
No friend. And I put myself into such a deep lactate hole that I was hallucinating. Like, I couldn't hold myself up on the bike, and it's not breathing.
I've made a mistake.
Such pain. And we got through like 4 of those, and then I was like, okay, I'm just going to do 550 watts. Okay, just 500 watts. Okay, just 475.
Just going to turn the pedals.
And then when I finally went sub 4, I was like, okay, Juliet, I think I'm done. She's like, well, we haven't even done 13 or 14 1. And I was like, I think I got 9. And I was so trashed. And that took me I warmed up, did that thing, and got so much adaptation response very quickly with very little cost to the body.
Yep.
Like, my knee doesn't hurt. The volumes and loads, I keep my muscle mass, I'm gorged, and holy shit, metabolically, I was.
See, and that's exactly it, right? That's what
3,000 degrees.
About. Like,
yes,
that's the easy deposit to be able to have credits to spend to do the fun shit, because the conditioning doesn't need to be a thing that also trashes your knee.
That's the key.
It's got to be like, so I've been painting shit, doing move-in stuff, getting the house done, right? And so like, standing around waiting for a coat of paint to dry on doors, I jump on the trainer and did 4 5-mile time trials. Woo. I bashed my fastest one out at 11:10.
Fast.
Average 26 and change.
Oh.
On a flat Zwift course. Like, it's fun now, man, seeing like what my heart rate can handle, because like if I get into the mid 160s, low 170s, I'm like, we still got room. We still got gas. Like, we're okay here. We're not great, but we're not over the red. If I see 180, like, I'm in the death zone. I'm above where oxygen's allowed to be on Everest, and it's time to get out of there.
Do you remember the movie Abyss?
Oh yeah.
He takes the rat and he puts it in the cage, submerges it in the hyperfluorinated carbon water thing.
Yeah, that thing that doesn't exist.
And he goes, see, he's digging it. And he says, he's doing it. He ain't digging it. And I really appreciate that. Like, you can do it. You might not dig it. And
man,
what's amazing for you, and I want to just remind people that you cannot make up for decades of just exposure and load. And you have a pretty incredible set of genetics, Matt. I've been on a 6-day mountain bike safari with you. Yep. I've deadlifted with you. I've seen you. I've outthrown you on the stairs.
That's true. That's true.
I have done all of those things.
You gave me the rhabdo. Only in my calf. That's how it works.
Calf rhabdo. But you were about to throw it in a competition, so it's fine. And, you know, I have seen what you can do, and it's really fun for people to find some of these latent talents, because I think sometimes we define ourselves as a certain kind of athletic person, and there's a big world, and it's easy to become, you know, the generalist. Like, let's become generalists again. You know, as soon as
this is something you've talked about that I love, and I've definitely taken into account is like how I want to train now, because I'm on the backside of my competitive years, and now I may compete again, or I may participate. Like I could see myself signing up to go do like Dirty Kansas, a big gravel ride, something challenging like that. That is right. High reward, low risk. Kind of like this ruck event, right? It's through San Francisco for 50 miles. What's the worst thing that happens? I just call a car and say I'm done. I just pull my phone out and have an Uber come get me, and I'm like, I'm done walking today.
But you have an adventure. You go see what it's like to compete. You know, my goal right now is to have a body that can allow me to go play and have all of the benefits of training or competing at a high level, which means, boy, I'm a little nervous the night before.
Yeah.
I gotta wake up in the morning and do it and show up and not be unsure, and then in the process not know where I am. And it's difficult for people who are athletes, because sometimes if you're doing your thing, you only can compare yourself to your world-class form, right? Or your college form, or your high school form, whatever.
That's why you have to find a completely different sport.
That's right. Otherwise, it's really difficult to let go of that, because you're like, so here's an example. Our friends, Katie Hall and Kate Courtney. So, you know, world champion mountain biker, Olympic, Tour de California climber. Our friend Rebecca Rush puts up this climbing day challenge, right? The Giddy Up Challenge, right? Which we talked about earlier, which is all you have to do. We just did 5,600 feet on a bike one day. And for us, that was plenty, right? That was the lowest level we could do. And that was like a 4 or 5 hour ride for us.
Oh, it's ugly. Yeah. I had to fucking gut it out on Zwift, because I went and did a 50-mile bike ride like the day before that ended up being 4,000 feet. That the ride GPS told us 2,100. Bit off a little bit more than we could chew.
That's right. So I send that to them, though. I'm like, hey, you should do this, because I know you're not in the middle of your competitive season. And they both were like, I don't know. And I was like, really? And then I realized that they only saw the Everest choice, 30,000 feet of climbing, because they're in the peak of their powers right now.
Why would they even think?
Like, you asked me to do a training ride, I could do that. So, you know, I was like, hey, you know, you don't have to do the 30,000 foot climb. And they were like, oh, okay, that makes sense. And I think that's what's key. Is I think it's really important to physically, not emotionally, not mentally, like giving a speech, preparing. Those are similar, but it's not the same physical thing of having to show up and having to eat right and having to manage stress and having to finish. And Rebecca says, I always race to meet the better version of myself at the end.
Well, that's what we want, right? Like, so Derek Woodski's chick, Megan, is a cyclist. So she rides mountain bikes and competes quite a bit, and thinks she won Tour of California or something like that. I'm probably screwing that up, but she went and did the Everesting bit too for Rebecca's thing, and set out at 2 a.m. They live in Mammoth, and got to hammering. You know, found a climb. She only has to do it 22 times. And so, like, I mean, they're swapping bikes, and Derek's playing support, and like, he's out there, you know, this is a cool thing. Now she finished, I think, right at 1,000 feet short, and like was done. I think she'd been on the bike for like 11 hours. And I loved what she said about it. And she's like, you know, I didn't accomplish the goal, but that's why it's a challenge. If I knew I could do it, what's the point in going? And I really love that. And like, that's something, that's why you would compete. That's what I loved about the Highland Games, is because I still have to show up and go do it. And that's what I love now, that's translated into like, you know, Bonnie and I going to do some through hike, because now it's a test.
Now you got to get out. It's on you.
Does the things we've prepared work?
I love it. This is really the big question now, I think, is what's the minimum dose to look good naked for my wife, you know, to not feel gross.
Yep.
You know, to feel like I can slip into my skin and compete or throw or jump or climb or bike or whatever we want to do, and not worry about tweaking my shoulder.
A super
Now,
tourist.
I want to be the super tourist.
Dude, I love it. And I love it so much. That idea to me rings so loud of like, man, especially after being in pain for as long as I was, man, I don't know when that comes back, but I know it ain't there. So we're going.
Is it your left knee or your right knee?
Right.
Yeah. It's always the right knee. I don't know what it is about my right knee.
It's weird. It's like throwers. Something about turn the right is basically you could coach throwing blind and just tell every kid turn the right. Generate force, turn the right.
Turn.
Do you know Derek Woodski at all?
No.
Oh man, at some point the two of you need to be in a room together.
I don't know if that'll ever happen again in our lifetime.
I know, right? One of my favorite stories is he's Canadian and was a Canadian record holder in the hammer, and ended up lying on his college application to get a walk-on onto Wyoming. So lied his way in, just almost on everything. And then like made up numbers and did everything, gets in on a walk-on, earns a scholarship. And so like, he's like, my whole response to training there was this fear that I'll be found out that I'm not as good as I said I was. So I now have to earn these numbers. And he says, and I never told anyone that until they inducted me into their Hall of Fame, that I had lied my way into their school. So part of his induction speech was telling them that he had lied.
Well, that's what I want people to do. That's the perfect metaphor. I want you to get to a place where you can lie yourself into an event, in a situation.
Yeah.
But then you got to go do it. You got to go do it.
Man, being in that water, right, where you get to figure it out. Like I had that last day on the desert when we were riding.
Oh, yeah. It took me a second. I was like, I think I blocked that out emotionally.
Dude, when I had told myself for the last 2 hours that when I see the truck, I'm getting in. I'm done with this. This is no longer fun. And then I saw the truck and refilled my water, and Tim was there, and Tim handed me an ice cream sandwich. And I was like, I'm fine. I'm fine now.
I got this. Okay, I got this. That's what's all about right now is hey, we're in the middle. A lot of people are in the middle of the ride. Work is unsure. You haven't hugged your mom. Like there's some real things going on. We're in the middle of a revolution in terms of how we think about equity and justice. Sports is how we get it done. It's where we stop talking about it and you start training and you get together and let's just not lose track of the tool and the thing that we have staring us down, that it can serve us and humanity and our community. And, it's amazing.
Man, as much as I want the powers that be to change across the board, just generationally, man, they're the unfit ones. We can win this by being healthier and lasting longer and able to fight longer. And it's a war of attrition, this thing that we're currently going through. And if we want that change, you can't come off the gas pedal, because they're just going to wait for us to fade and get tired and be quiet and go back to the status quo where they're all making all the money.
Doing is better than talking, man. Never before in the history of the world have I believed so strongly in the sense of communitarianism, my neighbors and I have reconciled over this, the jerks next door with the fence, and, not that guy, the other guy.
Oh, he's still out.
But our neighborhood has become 1979, 1981. Every kid is on a bike. They're all playing basketball.
Crazy, right?
Yeah. And, it's people are walking their dogs and getting together, and that's enough. Start having these conversations in your neighborhood. Start knowing your people.
Right.
Open up your garage. Look, have people come train with you.
Be more inclusive.
I think that's where we can make the change. We just make a better society locally. Then that will scale up by itself.
Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully, right? Like that can be. There's change that needs to happen on a lot of fronts, and for sure the health side of things, it's been too dormant for too long, and there's really not an excuse for it.
Do you know how to feed yourself? Do you know how to swing a kettlebell? Do you know how to take care of the basics?
The food one I really see is the biggest hurdle in our country. It's just because, again, we were fed bullshit for so long. And
it's such tasty bullshit.
Oh God, it's so good. Taco Bell. But these things are a treat. They're not part of sustained diet. Like if you can just most meals eat a thing that had a face, like that's it. Like just do that and then you can mess around.
Well, you know, we had this last thing I'll say is in this way, the simplicity. You know, people have autoimmune diseases and autoimmune reactions and symptoms. You know, one of our friends at Harvard had created sort of an autoimmune diet. And it really was a precursor to the plant paradox. And it's funny, I'm getting texts from Paul Saladino right now.
Oh, good.
And I would tell people, like, hey, you should do plant paradox if you got something going on. And
yeah, it's a great plan.
And it really freak people out. They're like so restrictive. I'm like, oh, okay, just go carnivore. And people are like, oh, okay. And somehow going carnivore is easier.
Seems less restrictive, right?
Than plant paradox. And what I've just, you know, it's that simple sometimes, you know? And man, I think I want to look back and make sure I didn't squander this time in shelter in place. That it was not just, hey, I went through Netflix. I got caught up, that I, you know, came out. And,
I've also gone through Netflix. It can be a both.
Dude, I feel you. Juliet and I have eaten 10,000 popsicles. That is our current, the sugar-free popsicles. I'm like, I ate 10 of them. It's 150 calories. It's fine. It's only 150 calories. That's like
it's like Halo Top ice cream. It's like I alternate weeks. It's like I'll do 2 weeks of Halo Top, and the next week's just cookies.
Well, I think I call that carb cycling.
Yeah, the 7 hours of cardio a week seems to really not make much of a difference as far as that's, you know, an extra 7,000 calories I'm roasting a week. So I can have some cookies. It works.
Yeah, I think that's what I want. I want to build tolerance into the system.
Yep.
You know? Maddie,
I know you got a busy day, man. I appreciate you coming on.
You know, I just want to say you're my favorite lifter in this podcast.
Thank you, sir. I miss you guys, man.
I miss you too. And I just want to last say is, yes, I copied Matt's faux knockoff Eames chair. I copied it. I'm proud of it. You know, so I'm sitting on you every time it gets here, man. I just want you to know that your taste is impeccable. I think everyone thinks you're just this one-dimensional.
Is that what they say about me?
One-dimensional.
Who are these people?
Interior design, aesthetist. But I want you to know you're also an athlete.
It's true.
And you're
not just known for my great design taste.
Yeah, I just want you to know that. I think everyone just thinks, oh, Matt, he's a creative. But I just want you to know that you're really, really an exceptional athlete too.
I appreciate it. I'm trying to be the world's strongest cyclist currently.
You know, I was battling for that position until you just nudged me out.
Yeah. And
not only are you a better cyclist than me, you're also way stronger than me. It kind of bums me out, man.
Dude, just went down to Bentonville, Arkansas. Ooh-wee. That place is unreal. Unreal. It's, if you were a kid and you were like, man, you know, it'd be awesome. Imagine if they just made like dirt jumps on the sidewalk out of concrete and they were perfect. Those exist. Apparently, like, kids just hit them on the way to school. Like, seriously. There's just an infinite number of trail systems in this town that you can just hit. And they're perfect and bermed and just lean in. Took a hard fall.
That's expensive.
Yeah, it just flat on my stomach.
It is time to reform society. And if you're listening to this, we already got the tools. We can do this. Yep. You know, you got this. Maddie.
Brother, I'll see you as soon as we can. We're going to drive out and come see you guys.
I'm still. Thank you, people.
See that lovely family of yours. Miss you guys so much.
Miss you too, pal. I don't know if anyone will listen to that, but thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, dude. I appreciate it.
Love you. See you soon.
Love you, brother.
Thank you guys for listening. Really, really stoked to have Kelly on. Always good catching up with him. So head over there, check him out, see what he's up to with the Ready State. And man, what a good goddamn time. So Hybrid, Performance Method, Mind, Bullet, Eat Right Foods, Power Dot, Hate Brand Goods, Habit, Coffee, and Slingshot. Use code UMSO and save yourself money on all these great places. That's it. Thank you guys. I will see you next week. Spread hate. Always play.